Alliance briefing. This particular briefing we have called so that we can brief you as members of the Fourth Estate on the Alliance trip to the United States last week, which clearly is a matter of national interest. Comrade BT will start the briefing on the general context of the trip, and then Comrade Chamisa will speak on some of the specifics of their trip as the two members of the Alliance who represented the Alliance on that trip.
As all of you are aware of, we went to a number of countries in the region. First was South Africa, where we had the privilege of engaging a few individuals there, and then we had a stopover in Addis, and then of course the much talked about trip in the United States of America. What I've been asked by the Alliance to speak on is the state of our country as it exists today. And we think that this is very opportune, considering that the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Emmerson Mnangagwa, will be making a State of the Nation address this afternoon in a joint sitting of Parliament. We think that pursuant to the great celebrations, the great joy, the great exhilaration of the 18th of November 2017, we have somehow become deflated. We have lost the momentum, and we have declambered from the peak of a great expectation that our country was now on a footpath, on a trajectory to an open, democratic, free, just Zimbabwe. We look at the levels of and the manner in which our citizens, our people are living, and we know that the dream is being wasted, the dream is being drained, the dream is being hijacked, and the dream is certainly being captured. The hope of our people on the 18th of November 2017 was the hope that with the departure of Comrade Robert Mugabe, a new Zimbabwe would be ushered in, that real change would actually come into the motherland, and that there would not be a papering over the cracks, and that there would not be cosmetic change in respect of which in the cockpit one individual is replaced by another individual. So we as an alliance are concerned by the following. A, the obvious militarization of the Zimbabwean state, the number of serving military men appointed in the cabinet, the complete takeover, as it were, by the military. We have nothing per se against the military, but we know that the essence of the rule of law and constitutionalism is that of democracy, and democracy is government for the people and by the people. And so the people that are ultimately decisive in our country are the ordinary citizens who have the right to choose men and women who will serve them. You cannot make a transition from a barrack to a public office. So we are concerned about that. We are concerned about that because we are Democrats. And because we are Democrats, we believe that the citizen should have the right to choose those that he or she will represent the same. Number two, we are concerned about the clear evidence of closure of political space. We observed, for instance, the excitement around our trip. We have no quarrel with the right of citizens to express their comments. What we have taken exception to is the deliberate creation by the state of closure of political space and closure of alternative political voices. We believe in democracy. We believe in plurality. Yesterday we fought Robert Mugabe. Tomorrow we'll fight anyone who wants to sit and steal our right to speak out about things that affect our country. We are citizens of this country, we are patriots of this country, and there's no citizen who is more patriotic than us. So we are concerned about what we see as clear signs of trying to resuscitate a one-party mantra, a one-party state mantra in our body politic. And I've been asked to be very loud and clear on this point, and I'm very loud and clear on this point. The third issue that concerns us is the failure by the new authorities to address the clear signs of economic decay in our country. We are particularly incensed by the cost of living, the rise in the cost of living. The budget presented by the Minister of Finance on the 7th of December 2017 predicts that annualized inflation in 2018 will be 3%. But all of us who are being abused by prices in shop know that that figure is a joke. The price of basic commodities have just shot up, particularly since the 23rd of November 2017. How is it that one can buy a 1.5 kilogram of chicken at $14.50 a packet? How is it that one can buy 1 kilogram of beef at $11.50 a kilogram? How is it that a packet of matema, and many of our people are surviving on matema, can cost $18.50? So quite clearly that something is not right in the state of the state. Something is not right in this country. Not only that, citizens can't draw their money from the banks right now as we speak. We've always argued that there has to be genuine, sustainable economic reform. Only 2 weeks ago, we spoke on our own options as an alliance, and we spoke about the way forward. We, as the alliance, restate the point that the country needs genuine political and economic reform. That we need a roadmap to legitimacy. That legit roadmap must be anchored on certain clear benchmarks. The first benchmark is adherence to constitutionalism, to the rule of law, and the complete demilitarization of the state of Zimbabwe. We note and we welcome the statement that Operation Legacy is ended, but we would like to see it ending on the streets, because we know that there are roadblocks still being manned by the military today as we speak. So let's return back to normal civilian rule. Let's return back to normal civilian order that abides by constitutionalism, that abides by the rule of law. We spent 3 years writing a constitution, if not more. When that constitution was adopted by more than 3 million people in a referendum held in March of 2018. Let's abide by that constitution. Number two, we would like to see genuine, credible electoral reforms that will lead to an uncontested, free and fair election. And among the things we propose are the following. Number one, the creation of a brand new BVR voters roll, in respect of which all political parties sign on to. We have to agree that this is the genuine, legitimate voters roll for the country. And on this one, we take note that even for 2013, we do not have, less than 6 months of the next election, we still do not have the voters roll for the 2013 general election. So we demand that there be a production of that genuine BVR voters roll that we all sign to. Number two, we are pushing and arguing for the recognition of a diaspora vote in this country, consistent with Section 67 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Number three, we are arguing for the monitoring, the international monitoring and observation of this election at least 6 months before the election. And we are demanding, consistent with the SADC guidelines on elections, the African Union guidelines on elections, that these monitors and observers must be international monitors from all over the show, and not just the usual menu card of monitors from a few selected countries in the region, which has been the case. Number four, we are arguing for the creation of an environment that is conducive to proper propagation of freedom of association and freedom of movement during an election. So we pray that there will be no violence. We pray that there will be no coercion, no capture, no corruption in the next election. We pray that the pillars that have stood, the legislative pillars that have stood against the holding of a free and fair election from an environmental point of view are dealt with. In particular, we ask for the repeal of the Public Order Security Act. We ask for the repeal of the Access to Information and Protection of Privacy Act. We ask for a repeal of certain sections of the Broadcasting Act. Number 4, we ask for major amendments to the Electoral Act. Some of the amendments we are seeking are demands that no one not on the voters' roll should be allowed to vote. Because we remember, and we still have the hangover of 2013 when we were abused by a creature, a little white creature known as the voter registration slip. We also, so there are a number of reforms which we are proposing around the Electoral Act. Next is the access to media freedoms. We believe that the opposition and alternative voices should have equal airtime in public spaces, particularly the broadcasting houses. We also believe that there should be democratization and liberalization of access to broadcasting licenses. We note the monopoly of ZANU individuals in the acquisition of broadcasting licenses. Surely that must be democratized so that every citizen, irrespective of the color of his or her political card, is free to run a talk show radio station and so forth. All these things, and this is very key, we ask for a special role of the UN in our elections. You recall that in 2013, the UN was actually coming to Zimbabwe, but was stopped in South Africa from coming to do a scoping mission. Zimbabwe is a full paid-up member of the UN, and the UN has got certain specialized skills developed over the years to prevent contested elections. And in the context of Zimbabwe, we are choking with contested elections. Just 2008, 2013. So we need the expertise of the UN in this process. Lastly, this war process must be underwritten by the international community. This war process must be underwritten and guaranteed by the international community. So these are the things that we've been talking about. We've nothing to hide, and at this stage I will defer to my colleague, Advocate Chamis.
Thank you very much, Honorable Viti, President of the BGP, and critical members of the Alliance. I want to first thank you for that very vivid narrative, but just also to emphasize that we acknowledge as the Alliance the interest that has been generated by our visit to the United States of America, but of course we are people who believe in accountability. We believe in our duty to the people we represent, and it is in that context that we undertake this important pillar of good governance, that is reporting to the people we lead, and also that primarily defines the reason why we are having this important briefing, just to make sure that we account to our constituents and we also account to the people we lead. But I must also emphasize that one of the key partners in the Alliance, the MDCT, is the official opposition in the country. And by being the official opposition in the country and being in Parliament, we automatically are part of government, but in the opposite side. Because government is the ruling party and the opposing party. And we are the part of government that is opposing the government of the day. And it is official. So in that context, we had to then undertake a trip. The primary reason for our trip was to first reposition the opposition. Secondly, our strategic re-engagement process, particularly if we are to be clear that in the next 7 months, we are going to be in government. And ZANU-PF is going to be the opposition. So we cannot call for any measure against our government
which is the government we are going to form in the next 7 months. We are so sure that ZANU-PF is on its way out and we are on our way in. And for that reason, we need to prepare and plan for the next government. So strategic re-engagement is very important. In fact, we began this process during the inclusive government. I think, Honorable Nunu, you remember we were still minister. We are the ones who started the re-engagement process as led by the Prime Minister, our Dr. Richard Morgan Tsvangirai. So what we are simply doing is to punctuate and make sure that we advance that agenda to re-engage. And of course, we had some very important meetings which I will also highlight. The third one was then to set the framework for free and fair elections in Zimbabwe. We need to make sure we get this message to the local and domestic audience, but also we must get it out there to the international community. And this is why we are engaging. We are not going to stop engaging. We have done the SADC region, we have done the AU, we have done the US. We are going to do other countries, including China, Russia, Europe. We will go everywhere with this universal message to make sure that we give our people a fighting chance, the people of Zimbabwe a fighting chance. We are conscious that for us to be able to achieve what we want to achieve, we must be able to create the necessary networks, the necessary communication lines, which lines have been created. So we are serious in business. We stand strong on our message. We do acknowledge that ZANU-PF is so desperate. They are still in the old mindset of framing the opposition as an opponent, when in fact we are supposed to be looking at each other together as one and looking forward to build our country. Building our country is not going to take the mindset of the old, which is the mindset Mr. Mnangagwa seeks to be perpetuated. So what we are seeing in government is a new face with the old mind. What we are seeing in government is just a new haircut, but the same old systems and the same old head. And this must change. And this is the reason why we are to engage. We met with a lot of partners in the United States of America. We met with the Congress and congressmen, the Senate. We also met some key people in the State Department in terms of the re-engagement process. We are clear that we need $15 billion if we are to restore our country. That $15 billion is not going to be something that we will start to work on when we become a government. We learned during the inclusive government that it takes time to re-engage. I'm sure if you ask Mr. Mandela, you are still a terrorist, even up to a time when he departed, because it's very difficult to reverse measures that are imposed on a country. So we need to make sure that we begin and commence this process. And we are serious, we are looking into the future. Our colleagues in ZANU-PF are still steeped in the past. They think that they are perpetual in government. We know that they are temporary in government, and they are on their way out. That is what informed that trip. And we make no apologies for the kind of patriotism we have demonstrated during the inclusive government, now and going forward, because we believe that the future of Zimbabwe is in making sure that we remove the Banana Republic tag, we remove the pariah status tag, and we restore our country among us, the family of nations. So we have a statement we have prepared. This statement is going to be issued out. It's a very comprehensive one. It touches on the things that we worked on. We also met the diasporans who were very eager and enthusiastic to participate in the 2018 elections. They are very important. We know their contribution to the GDP. We need to make sure that they are allowed to vote. We currently have a case that's before the court in terms of the Constitutional Court. We want to push for that one. We also want to push for certain reforms around diasporans being allowed to vote. In fact, it's in line with the certain guidelines on elections that the diasporans be allowed to vote. So I would say, without wasting a lot of the time, we may need to then possibly leave it to Mr. Gutu, so that we hear your question. But that is why we were in the United States of America, not these so-called measures. We are not that petty as to pursue petty politics of backwardness. We are the next game in town. We are the next music. So why would we want to disrupt that music as an alternative?
Thank you very much. I thank Comrade Spiti and Comrade Chamisa for the presentation.
Is Mr. Tsvangirai going to remain your candidate for 2018, considering that most of 2017 and before he's been in and out of hospital? And if so, how serious do you think the population will take you, considering his ill health, that you would be pushing for a man who's not 100%?
Take 300.
Yes, the second question. No, you want to gender? Oh, yes.
Hello, MDC Alliance from Reuters. I just want to find out why it took the Alliance so long to actually come up with this explanation to supporters in the general public, considering that we've had days and days, of public media criticism of the trip that you made.
Very much that question. Serious journalist, there's no third question.
Thank you very much. Let me start by asking Comrade Chamisa to answer whichever question is coming.
Thank you very much. I was going to answer the MT one, but I think it's best that you answer it. I think, Prof, you can give the professorial tincture to it, so it's not a problem. I hope you'll be able to tackle that one. I'll deal with the second one, which is why did it take so long? It has not taken us so long. We were in the US for a week. We only came back the day before yesterday, on Monday. So it has not taken us long. We could not preempt. Diplomacy is not about carrying a vuvuzela. We could not go on a microphone to say, this is what we are doing. We had to conclude the meeting. We had also to report back to our fundamental partners in the alliance before we start commenting on anything. So we had not understood the perspective that ZANU-PF had pushed. And this is why we are appealing to ZANU-PF to abandon their fundamental pillars of governance, of working on misinformation, disinformation, and lies to the citizens. A government is supposed to be a purveyor of good and correct information to the citizens. They know why we were there. In fact, instead of them joining people to mislead them and excoriate us, they must be congratulating us and thanking us for doing their bidding and for doing the patriotic duty on behalf of the people of Zimbabwe. Because we are aware they are not. We are respected as serious guys in this world. And they must appreciate it. But they do not do so. They choose to then malign us, demonize us, and then portray us as criminals, when in fact, what we have done for this country is in the best interest of Zimbabwe. I'm sure Mr. Bichi may need to come in on the task.
Look, as Honorable Chamisa has said, we only came here back on Monday after real adventures, because it was obvious that some extra legal measures had been planned to prevent us from entering our country, but we're back, we are alive, and as we have said in our statement, we do not apologize for putting the interests of our country first. We do not apologize for representing the ordinary Zimbabwean citizen, and we do not apologize for acting in the best interest of Zimbabwe. We are a serious opposition. We've been in the trenches for years. We've got scars to prove it. We were privileged to have a stint in government. We showed that we are as patriotic as the next compatriot, and our record speaks for itself. So we are going to engage our structures. You will see a very active alliance next year, but we're also going to pursue, as Honorable Chamisa said, our diplomatic agenda. We have big meetings lined up in January, somewhere in some African countries. We're not going to stop, because that is what is in the best interest of Zimbabwe. And we find it ironic that if visits are to other places, there's no problem.
Yeah.
If we had gone to Beijing, there wouldn't have a problem. But yes, we're going to go to Beijing in February. We're going to go to Russia in March, and that's what is in the best interest of our people. Honorable Professor.
Maybe as a follow-up to that, may you elaborate, Mr. Biti, on what you were saying? There were measures that have been put in place to ensure that you will not come back to the country. Elaborate on that, please.
Yeah, just to say there were extra legal measures, but we came back. Thank you.
Just one minute. Once you are in the opposition and you go out on a trip and then the ruling government starts howling and howling, it means that trip is a resounding success.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions and the answers. The question on MT President Tsvangirai, we have answered this question again and again. Our answer will remain the same. Asked last week, asked today, asked next week, it will remain the same. President Tsvangirai is our candidate. We collectively, as 7 members of the Alliance, agreed without any equivocation that he is our best foot forward. He is our best foot forward because he is experienced, he is a unifier who unifies us. 3, he has the credentials of a Democrat who has been in the trenches over the years. He has the vision, the personal vision as to where we want to take our country should we form the next government. Whether he is well or unwell is neither here nor there. Only God has the prerogative of granting health, illness or sickness at any given time. None of us as humans has the power to decide who will be unwell tomorrow or unwell next week. We all know, for example, that when President Lungu of Zambia was running in the Zambian elections, he was unwell. And God granted him the grace to recover, and he is well today. And none of us should seek to stand as if we were God to say this person or that person is unqualified to lead, particularly given the credentials that President Tsvangirai has. Above all, he has defeated ZANU-PF before. And the military, like we said last time, carried out a preemptive coup against this victory in 2008. So we have no qualms at all, none whatsoever, in standing behind his candidacy, because we believe that he is our best candidate with the best opportunity, who unifies us. We have confidence in him to be able to defeat ZANU-PF come July, August next year when the election must be held. I want to add 1 or 2 points in respect of the first question. There's the hullabaloo about this trip. And yet we are being told daily that there is a new beginning. We are starting a new democratic era in this country without Mugabe. One assumes that if there is a new beginning, you will at the very least start by telling the truth. At the very least. And to basically regress to the default mode of lies and more lies about sanctions. It simply tells us that there is no new beginning. All of you listened to Comrade BT, listened to Comrade Chamisa. Most of these things were being streamed live while they were happening in the States. There was a written statement which he spoke from, particularly Comrade BT in his presentation to the Senate. At no point in that statement did he call for sanctions. In fact, the members of Congress, they were critical of our perspective that there are new opportunities today. They were critical that we're saying there are new opportunities. Talk to us, engage with the government to see whether we can take advantage of those new opportunities. To then go hysterical about something which didn't happen, it is very disheartening. When in particular it comes from those who claim that let us give Mnangagwa and his team a chance, this is a new beginning, and so forth and so on. So let us be clear, let us at least start by being honest, right, and truthful about what happened. It is the democratic right of every Zimbabwean to be able to engage with the world in terms of our vision of what the solutions to the problems of this country are.
Second, the clarification, Mushamba says it was frustrated the transitional government, and the father Mkono later issued a statement that it was actually something we wanted to initiate talks of the Mnangagwa and the SNAP. Can we have clarification of really what happened in regard to the prospects of the transitional government?
Thank you. Another question? Yes, my sister.
My question, does the Alliance believe that they will form a government even if they win after what has taken place, especially regarding the army?
Okay, comrades, anyone to take any of the questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the question is, yesterday Ambassador Mchangwa said the president is a man of his words, so he has applied for free and fair elections coming 2018, and you, he's a new guy on the guns this time. Are you going to give him a chance so that he expresses his mind?
Thank you, comrade. Could you
Yes, I'll ask you, so I will just a few words. The first question on President Mnangagwa, we don't doubt that he was appointed in terms of the new constitution, so we've never questioned his legitimacy. The constitution says when the sitting president retires or demises, then the party from whom he came from submits a name to the speaker. The Constitution does not say that the process has to be democratic. The Constitution simply says the party from whom the old president came submits a name. And we have absolutely no doubt that some people submitted a name. So to that extent, formalism was expected. So we don't question Mnangagwa's right to be there. What we are simply saying is that Mnangagwa, you have not been elected. So let's go to an election with these conditions that we've benchmarked. Let's have a formal and political and institutional reform, but we don't question that he's a legitimate sitting president of the day because a name was submitted to the speaker of Can I just answer the last question? We are inundated with this clamor for giving people a chance. It's a dominant discourse on social media. We are giving this government a chance. We are giving this government a chance. But they must also give the people of Zimbabwe a chance. And a chance that goes beyond the rhetoric. And so far, beyond the rhetoric, we are not convinced that they are genuinely giving the people of Zimbabwe a chance. You speak of Honorable Comrade Mchangwa. We are very disturbed when someone stands and takes a public platform and says they will abuse the constitutional provision, the provisions in the constitution that says the army does not stick to the business of politics and the army stays away from politics. In fact, it's unconstitutional for the military to support any political party. It's very clear in terms of Section 208 of the Constitution. That's not giving the people of Zimbabwe a chance. But yes, we have given them some latitude. But it's so self-evident, even from this early stage, that nothing nothing has changed. I guess it would have been expecting too much, because these very same men and women were besides President Mugabe for a period of 50 years. So to suddenly expect problems to be resolved by the same mindset that he created them would have been expecting too much. But we are giving them a chance, but they have to give the people of Zimbabwe a chance.
I think some interesting issues are being raised. When you talk about giving someone a chance, being an opposition party does not mean that they are not giving anyone a chance. They are actually providing an alternative voice, an alternative inspection at what is happening, and highlighting what is happening and what should be corrected. We gave Mugabe 37 years of chances to remedy the situation in Zimbabwe. President Mugabe was not ruling on his own. President Mugabe was presiding over a structure that is still intact. We were not just fighting to remove Mugabe. We were fighting to remove ZANU-PF because it has corrupted and destroyed our nation. Let us not fool ourselves to believe that just because Mugabe is out of the equation, then the situation will normalize in Zimbabwe. It might get worse. And we as the opposition must be vigilant to see that we don't let our people being deceived again like they've been deceived in the past 7 years.
Thank you, Comrade Mutambara.
Just one question to Brigadier Mutambara. Yeah, as a former soldier yourself, what's your take on some of your colleagues going into politics? You are a former soldier yourself.
I'm a politician and a retired general. I see nothing wrong with that. I'm a Zimbabwean. I have the right to enter into politics. But I see something very wrong with what has happened recently. What I see as being wrong, firstly, it is unprecedented that we have a retired general like myself being brought to lead an army where there are 7 generals who are aspiring also to go up the rank. I think that is something that one is going to start saying, is this proper? How does it augur for the morale of those who are serving? I have no problems if anyone was asked to lead the army. That's the prerogative of the president, maybe as commander-in-chief. But then also, I'm looking at a situation where you have the military spearheading what I might call a popular revolt against a sitting president, which we also participated. But I found it rather odd that in the same vein, the president said all along he was in touch with the military when these developments were taking place. I found that odd. And also I find it odd that you can retire a military man so that you can just give him a political position for that purpose. I think that is also odd. Thank you.
Before I ask Comrade Butchert, let me add to Comrade Mutambara. There is everything wrong with the command element of the Zimbabwe National Army presenting itself as war veteran belonging to a particular political party, intervening to settle the political disputes of a political party. There is everything wrong with that. There is also everything wrong with leading a coup. in order to become vice president, to become minister. Everything wrong about that. Comrade.
Yeah, let me speak on the issue of giving them a chance. I'm sure after the euphoria that we all experienced on that particular day, everybody had high expectations. But you go back to the streets of Harare, they already have an answer to that one. And even in some of your writings, they are very clear in saying, now we are aware that we simply change the driver. But the bus is still the same ramshackle bus, the same potholes, the same passengers, same problems, same environment. They have an answer to that. So they are now very much aware that the system is the same, possibly it's the haircut, like somebody said, simply changing the haircut. But that's the answer. Go back to the streets and they will tell you. They already have an answer to that one.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chito.
Okay, we are not done yet.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you. On the issue of the president, our president, President Morgan Tsvangirai, who is the candidate of the alliance, we realize and acknowledge that there's been a deliberate attempt to distort the reality as pertaining to what transpired. We had a position as an alliance, which position was that we were supposed to have an inclusive arrangement, a transitional mechanism, so that we prepare for free and fair election. And President Tsvangirai, as a Democrat, as a national leader, as a statesman, went out of his way to make sure that he kickstarts this program. But unfortunately, there were no takers of this inclusive arrangement. And government intended to then portray MDC as spoilers. If anything, our biggest problem is that we have arrogance in government. We have ignorance in government. They do not appreciate that building a country is not a partisan effort. It is a collective effort. And this is where they are missing it. And this is where they want to then malign President Tsvangirai. President Tsvangirai has always been very clear to say, in order for us to have restoration of legitimacy, the first step is to have a transitional mechanism, an inclusive arrangement, political parties discussing. Beyond that, we then have free and fair elections. Free and fair elections and the conditions that have been articulated by President Biti. Again, that was not done. Now we are waiting for the election. This is why we've had to go to a diplomatic offensive to talk to our people. As you will see in our rallies, we are now articulating the alternative that we are. We are not going to waste time because we are not an inclusive government. We do not do public relations for the government. And you are saying that we should give them a chance. The chance we are going to give them is to be a genuine opposition, a democratic opposition. We are not a terrorist movement. We are not a rebel movement. So we have given them a chance. Let them offer their ideas, we offer ours. And let there be a marketplace of ideas. If they are better than us, we congratulate them. Where we are better, they must appreciate us. So let us not mistake this whole thing, because we are transitioning from big man politics to big idea politics. And this is why we are going to have big ideas, manifestos, policy documents, blueprints that we are going to be putting on the market. Because we think that we have better ideas. So better ideas that even government has borrowed from our manifesto. And we take no problem with that because they are doing it for the people of Zimbabwe. The issue of are we confident? We are not only confident, we don't only believe that we will form the next government. We know it. And Mr. Mnangagwa knows it. We are going to be the next government. This is why they are panicking. But we are saying even if we form the next government, it's going to be a good dispensation for Mr. Mnangagwa and his team. Because we'll be very inclusive, tolerant of the opposition. That is the difference. So there should be no doubt about the MDC being the next predictable thing in town. Who will form the next government? And of course, this is why we are saying there has to be underwriting of this process. Once it is done, we are going to be the next government. And we are sure about it. This is why we have to go to America, we will go to the IMF. I know that President Biti is going to lead another delegation to go and unlock the keys that will give us victory and prosperity as a people. The issue of the outcome of the American trip, the first thing we achieved in America was just to activate the goodwill. People in America, the American government believes in the people of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is loved. So we unlocked the goodwill that is there, that is available, but it has no takers. Because we have a government that do not understand diplomacy. It talks about looking east without understanding that you must look everywhere, including looking to the west and looking to God. So we had to go there to try and teach them, to say, yes, we must engage everyone. So we are sure that the outcome of the American trip has been very successful. It has been a big achievement and a strategic move. Far from people think that it was miscalculated. If you don't know the benefits that we got, then you will make that conclusion because you are misinformed. But we have done a lot. In fact, we also assured Comrade Biti that there be continued humanitarian support. If there is going to be any problem in terms of the rain season, we've assured continued humanitarian support for the United States of America. There's also assured prospective support in terms of economic reconstruction. I told you about the 15 billion we need. We have to start now, and we've already begun. So, yes, this trip has been very fantastic. You know, it has been a powerful trip. We are so happy about it. When we hear ZANU-PF's cries, we know that we are doing something good. Anything that makes ZANU-PF net is good for the people of Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the answers. Before I ask Comrade to close, allow me to basically link two questions. The question about President Mnangagwa being legitimate and the question about giving him a chance. Comrade Biti has given you a formalistic, legalistic answer, what we call legal formalism. Also political legitimacy as opposed to legal formalism legitimacy. There is no doubt that from a legal formalism point of view, Comrade Biti's answer is 100% correct. But what has been our problem as a nation over almost 2 decades now is the absence or lack of political legitimacy. President Mnangagwa has inherited President Mugabe's crown, if I may call it that, including his illegitimacy in having previously stolen election. So, comrade, we are giving him a chance to deal with that aspect of political illegitimacy, which is why we are tabulating all the things which need to be done by him in the next 6 months. So that should he win in July, August next year, we will congratulate him as a politically legitimate head of state of Zimbabwe. And these conditions, Comrade Biti summarized, but it's important to highlight some of them. And that's the chance we're giving. He must get the new commander of the army to reverse the previous statements Zinabashe and others made, to declare in advance for the assurance of every Zimbabwean that whoever wins the election, they will recognize him or her, so as to give confidence to the sovereign citizens of Zimbabwe to vote freely, knowing that their vote will count. So it's important for them to do that in advance tomorrow, so that we know from General Spanda that they accept the sovereignty of the people of Zimbabwe to select a government of their choice. One critical one, I'll just take 3 or 4. On voter registration, we want to give him a chance to ensure that all the bottlenecks which have been placed previously by President Mugabe on the right of every citizen to register as a voter, such as proof of residence, are removed, so that instead of having 4.6 million, we have the full 7 million adults being registered as voters. And let's see how the entire 7 million will decide. So clear all the bottlenecks, including the diaspora vote Comrade BT spoke about. Then let's go to that election. 3. The freedom that we must have as a people to democratically elect our government is determined by our freedom to mobilize, to organize. So there must be complete, total freedom of everyone to canvass. The police must remain where they are or where they have been in the last 5-6 weeks. Right? They must remain there.
Without the fight.
Now that the soldiers have gone back, let the people be free. Right? Without having to confront the riot police. Yachi Huri, right? Then God is gone. Right? To be free to meet without poster, Comrade meeting adverted to that, to hold meetings, to canvass door to door. Then on voting day itself, particularly for the presidential election, let the counting take place properly at each polling station. Let the votes be tallied there, be put up as is required by law, be transported to the constituency, be added at the constituency level, be tallied and be published there. To the province, same process. To national, so that there is no doubt about the movement of figures from the polling station to the national command center. Everybody is satisfied that the totals, wherever they could be, are the same figures which started at the polling station. We are giving Comrade Mnangagwa a chance to do that. And Comrade Chamisa is saying, if he does that, if he wins, we will congratulate him. But there is no chance in hell of ZANU winning an election if our people are let free. So we ask Comrade Mnangagwa to let our people free. Comrade, thank you.